So yesterday we really heard a lot about Lot, Abraham's nephew, and what happened to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah due to the evilness of the people there, the inhospitality of those who were going to do bad things to strangers who came into their midst. So this is chapter 20, and we're back to Abraham. Now Abraham moved on from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Gerar. And there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Remember, he's pulled that before. It didn't turn out good. "She is my sister." Then Abimelek, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelek in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Abimelek had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'?" So now she's going along with it. "I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die." Early the next morning, Abimelek summoned all his officials, and when he told them all that had happened, they were very much afraid. Then Abimelek called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you, that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never be done." And Abimelek asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, 'There is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, this is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother.' Then Abimelek brought sheep and cattle and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelek said, 'My hand is before you. Live wherever you like.' So to Sarah he said, 'I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelek, his wife, and his female slaves so that they could have children again. For the Lord had kept all the women in Abimelek's household from conceiving because of Abraham's wife, Sarah." A couple things here. We had been reading about Abraham and Sarah and that they were supposed to have a child and that she laughed because she was so old. Well, as we've learned throughout this, so old back then wasn't like so old today. Because obviously she is still a beautiful woman if the king wanted to take her into his harem and make her part of the household of royalty. And so another interesting thing here is Abraham's excuse. Well, she really is my sister. She is my sister from another mother. We have the same father. Whether that's true or not, I can't tell you. But I think it is likely that it is truth because there is no intervening here from God saying, no, confess the truth. Yeah, sounds like she is his half-sister, which to us today sounds very strange, maybe not so much back then. Let's go on into the birth of Isaac. So we'll read one more chapter. Sarah will have a child, and let's hear about that next. So this is chapter 21. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. So Sarah is 20 years or 10 years younger than Abraham, so she's 90. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. And she added, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar, the Egyptian, had borne to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. So do you remember? Hagar was Sarah's maidservant, and Abraham, taking things into his own hands, had an heir by her named Ishmael. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. So he sees Ishmael as his son, even though Sarah may not. But God said to him, do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring. I will make the son, as a fly on the camera, I will make the son of your slave into a nation. Do you hear this? Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down with about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called out to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. Okay, so Ishmael and Hagar would survive being banished from Abraham's tribe, his family, and they have been made a promise. I want to point out here that it says here that the angel of God heard the boy crying. And often, well, there are many theologians who believe whenever the Old Testament refers to the angel of God, that it is referring to Jesus at that point. And it is interesting to note that the angel of God does say to Hagar, I will make him into a great nation. And so we know that God has promised her that, and now this angel of God. And so that kind of lends credence to that theory that although they didn't understand that that's who this angel of God was, that it was possibly Jesus. Let's finish this chapter 21. At that time, Abimelek and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. Now remember, Abimelek is the one that Abraham went to and again said, this is my sister. So this is who he's talking to. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me that the country where you now reside as a foreigner, show to me and the country where you now reside as a foreigner the same kindness I have shown you." Abraham said, "I swear it." Then Abraham complained to Abimelek about a well of water that Abimelek's servants had seized. But Abimelek said, "I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today." So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelek, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock, and Abimelek asked Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart by themselves?" He replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." So the place was called Beersheba, because the two men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made of Beersheba, Abimelek and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Okay. So a land of the Philistines, that would be foreigners, that would not be part of the line that had come from Noah. This would be a different, well, they had to have come from Noah at some point, I guess, but not from the part that we are following, that of God's people that are being followed in the story of the Old Testament. So, okay. We will talk more tomorrow as we see Abraham be tested. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. I hope that you'll come back and we can talk about it together.